This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Hey, I'm Greer, host of the Unfinished Idea podcast, mom to 2 boys and 2 dogs, and raising a child with additional needs. Our day-to-day experience isn't being talked about in everyday life. So let's start the conversation. Whether you're a parent, a friend, a teacher, or a neighbor, everyone is welcome to join us over a cup of coffee as we help bring awareness and better understanding about neurodiversity and families who are raising children with additional needs. We're here to share the joys, the struggles, and the differences, as well as learn and grow and feel seen and heard by how we interact with each other and the world. Welcome. I'm joined today with Kelsey. She's the creator and founder of The Calm Crate, which we talk all about. We also talk about autistic burnout in adults, what it can look like as well as feel like, and the different signs of noticing burnout. Kelsey shares her own experiences and the different things that have helped her. So here's my conversation with Kelsey. So Kelsey, you are the creator of the Calm Crate. Can you talk about what is a Calm Crate and kind of why did you create it?
So my Calm Crate, I was sitting one night and it was probably a year after my diagnosis, and I was looking at, like, the whole year I was looking at like fidget toys, different things like that, and they were so expensive like on their own, and I was like, okay, maybe like I can open a little shop and do something different. So I was trying to think of names. Fidget toys, they make me calm. And then I just in my head could see like crate, like putting things in a crate, which is where the Calm Crate came from. So I started doing that and getting different sensory toys, sending out packages, which were quite cheap. That was my biggest feedback, was that you make them really personalised and they're affordable, which I thought was great feedback because, you know, we're in a like crisis at the moment for money and stuff. So they were getting used a lot, and then I got more and more business that I decided to create a website and move on to doing jumpers and hats and different t-shirts and lanyards and all that sort of stuff, which people are still really liking. And I love it because every time I have an order come in, it makes me so happy. If the person's like, I like this, but I don't like this, I'm like, oh my God, you're making it. Like, I'm going to put all my energy into making sure you are going to love the box that you open. But it makes me so happy to think that if I was sending away for one, that's the other person on the end who was making it was so passionate and cared so much that they were going to like find things that I would like. So yeah, I almost want to take a selfie and put it in with it and be like, your order made me the happiest person today, and I high and above to find everything you wanted. Like, I just love it. So yeah, that's the Calm Crate, and that's kind of how it came about. And now I do stalls, and my work in the hospital that I work in, they have a shop there, a gift shop. They've actually asked me if I would like to start selling in the gift shop, which is pretty cool. So I'm getting to start doing that next year.
That's cool. And I mean, like you say, it's a crate, a box, a envelope of things that help you or someone else be calm. That's the whole point of it, to be calm and kind of help self-regulate. Is that right?
Yeah, just sort of any sensory stim toy that, you know, that would help you feel better. Like, some people like big ones that they could stim with, others like ones that they can kind of hide so nobody can see it. So I have like a whole range of different things that I could put in if people want to just sort of that self-regulation, and, you know, nobody can kind of see if you're at work or something. So I love it.
And, you know, part of kind of, I guess, why you've created is, you know, the idea of, yes, helping to self-regulate, because if you don't self-regulate, you can have burnout. And do you mind talking about what does that look like for people who are neurodiverse, who are autistic?
Yeah, so I've recently myself just come out of a pretty big burnout, which was, I could actually kind of see it coming. And for me, it felt like I was walking in mud and it got up to about my waist. And I thought I either stop and take a step back and I won't hit burnout, but we had things on that couldn't be cancelled. And I could just feel myself trudging through the mud. And then it just hit. And then everything had to stop. So that was quite a bad burnout for me. And for burnout, it just feels like I lose all ability to look after myself, which I don't know if it sounds silly, but even regular everyday things when I'm in burnout, taking a drink of water, having some food, going to the bathroom, having a shower, I won't do them. And I have the best wife who does text me saying, have you done this? Have you done this? You need to do this. But again, when you're in burnout, you just feel like I have no energy. It's like all the energy has just been stripped away. And socially as well, I think for me, that's one of the hardest things, especially as somebody who has masked for so long and was late diagnosed. Socially, when I'm burnt out, I can't talk to people. And it's not that I don't want to, but I feel like if they don't understand the burnout, it comes off quite rude. So I'm still trying to figure out a way to, say I'm in burnout, I'm struggling. Can we pick this conversation up? Because it's fine to say, I'm in burnout, but if people don't really understand, they're like, oh yeah, I was burnt out last week too. And I'm like, okay, but this kind of burnout, like the neurodivergent, the autism burnout isn't just, I'm going to recover in 1 or 2 days. It could take weeks, months. Some people have taken years to recover from burnout. So it's one of those things that I wish was kind of better understood, in the sense that it's not going to go away by tomorrow. If I have a nap or if I have a bath or if I have a cup of tea, it's not going to be fixed by one of those things. But I think people are slowly learning and understanding neurodiversity a bit more, which is good.
When kind of thinking about it, would you say burnout is kind of like just survival mode? Even the kind of picture I get is like it's like a turtle going into their shell and they're just like frozen in their shell. And like you say, it's not going to just be a nap that gets them out. It's a longer process, and it kind of maybe looks different for everyone, but it's a much longer process than just a nap or a cup of tea. Is that kind of a good way of describing it?
Yeah, that actually really fits it. Like, I suppose if I was a turtle, this would be my shell. So this is our spare room in our house. So when I'm in burnout, I come in this room and I'll not leave for days. I'll leave to go to bed. My wife will eventually be like, okay, it's getting late, you need to sleep now as well. But everything here, apart from the train, is quiet. Nobody comes in because it's just the two of us. And I could just regulate. I've got dimming lights, all my stim toys. I've got my Cricut machines if I want to start making stuff, because that's quite, for me, I find that helpful in a burnout because it's quite therapeutic and it's just repetitive, which is quite nice. And then I have an array. I actually have 4 drinks sitting next to me. 5 drinks sitting next to me. So I just make sure I've got enough food and drink so I could visually see what I need to do. And I also have this, which was made by the beautiful you.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. It's the most Scottish thing because it's filled with iron brew. So I guess this would be my shell if I was a turtle.
That's really, you talked about having a space that you can go to, but then you also mentioned having kind of everything in us out so that you could see it. Is that helpful during burnout? So visually seeing things that will help you?
So I like the room tidy, but having certain things out, like my sheep or my avocado, they'll always sit out. And for some reason, they make me feel calm, if that makes sense. And then I'll have Cricut machine out and then my laptop and my PlayStation. And it's always just different things that I know will help over worrying about the burnout. I'm not being able to pick up this workload, or I'm not being able to do this, or I'm off work sick because of my burnout. And sometimes that makes me really anxious. Then having all these things at hand are really helpful because I could just sort of talk myself down off of a meltdown and just have my bits and pieces around me, which help.
You mentioned previously that you could see, I know you have just come out of a time of burnout, but you could see the burnout coming. What are some signs of burnout? I don't know if warning signs is the right word, but yeah, what are some things that people might be able to look out for?
I think some warning signs. Burnout, usually things start to become, twice as hard, maybe even sometimes more. Daily things start to slip. And I know that other people will understand this, and it seems silly because how can you forget to shower? But things like that will start to slip. And it's not because I don't want to shower and I'm, just being gross. It's just I physically have no energy to shower. Like, it's either shower or have something to eat, or shower, or, it's a fight between one or the other. Usually people could see it when it comes to things like that. For me, I also get really quite quiet. I'm known as like the loud one and the bubbly one at work. So usually when I start to withdraw or eat my lunch in my office instead of out with the other nurses, that's when people can kind of see it. And I can kind of feel it in myself. It feels like there's something just sitting on my chest. And then when I was sliding into burnout, it does feel like walking through that quicksand and slowly sinking and knowing that I'm actually heading towards it. What can I do to stop it?
And someone who may be experiencing those things and is kind of thinking, oh, I'm headed to that burnout, like, what could they do to stop it? I mean, is there, I don't know. I mean, the thing I think of is like, the kind of going into your calm space or going into having that, like, is there anything else that they could do or other people that they could kind of bring into to help?
I think one of the most important things for me that I've learned through burnout is that it's actually okay to say no. So if you're feeling like you're slipping into burnout and somebody wants to go out at the weekend or you have family commitments, it's okay to say no because you need that time to yourself. And that was a massive struggle for me at the beginning because I thought they're going to think I'm rude, or people do gradually learn a little bit more. And if they think you're rude at the start, then it's your health, so it kind of comes first. And also creating that safe space for you, if you've got some safe people as well that they know how to help, do the right things. I know some people that set reminders on their phone for, food, water, shower, all that sort of thing. They should help. And if you have stim toys, I use them quite a lot. Or if you're a drawer, I know a lot of people draw and that's helpful for them. So just anything that people find soothing, start to use it. And remember, you can always say no to doing things with other people before you slip into burnout, because it is hard to get out of once you're in it.
Saying no is very hard, especially no to people. That would be, I can imagine, hard.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, is there, so you can have that safe person or people, obviously them saying to you, oh, go have a cup of tea isn't going to be great. But are there things that they can say or do to help, either as you see the signs of burnout or in the middle of burnout? Like, are there things people can do to help?
Some of the questions that I get heading into burnout, or if I'm in burnout, are like, instead of them coming up with the solution and sending me what I can do, it's more of a what would help you in this moment. I find that quite a good question. And even if the answer for me is I actually don't know, a lot of the times I don't know how I'm feeling. My body doesn't know how it's feeling. With a lot of autistic people, we don't know if we're feeling hungry, sad, anxious, depressed. It's just a bunch of feelings. So sometimes they'll be like, how are you doing? I don't know. I actually don't know. Okay, well, what can we do? And then I'll be, I don't know. But even just that, what can we do, is a really good question, because after a while I might think, well, why don't, I'm struggling with this. Can you come and help me? Can you come body double and help me do it? So if it's like work related and they ask, how can I help? Well, I'm struggling doing this project. Can you come and sit with me and help me do the project? My wife, usually because it's happened quite a few times, she'll kind of know. So she knows that my go-tos are a hot chocolate, like my hot water bottle, and my sheep. As long as I've got them, I'm feeling that bit more safe. So she always has that in place, and she always reassures me that it's okay if you say no, because I do still worry about that. So she's always reassuring me that it is okay to say no to going out different places. So even explaining your needs to others before you're in burnout. So even saying, I need you to reassure me when I'm in burnout that it's okay that I don't go places. And then when they do it, that's so helpful because it automatically makes you feel better. It makes you feel like somebody's validating that as well, which is helpful.
Yeah, that's a really good point of like kind of even saying from the start, you don't have to obviously be in burnout to say what you need because that's probably the worst time to say that. But like kind of saying like, if this happens, can you react this way is helpful because then they know what to do and they can help you. And yeah, that's a good kind of practice or mindset to have of doing that beforehand. So that's really good. Yeah. Had I ever thought about asking that question when not in crisis?
Usually to the crisis and then it's like, oh, I don't know. But sometimes beforehand saying this helps and this helps and this helps if this was to ever happen. And then people kind of feel that a bit more prepared. And I think they feel a bit more control in the situation because they know what's going to help you. So I think it's always a good conversation to have.
You mentioned body doubling. What does that mean? What is that for someone who may not know?
So body doubling is just having a person or someone you trust in the room while you're doing something really important. So just say you have a deadline and it needs to be done and you're all over the place, you can't get it done. Having just somebody sit and play on their phone or just do something silently is much easier to get it done. I don't know studies behind it, but it just feels like it's easier when somebody else is in the room. I always find it more, I can concentrate more, or if I need to do something for the calm crate and I'm all over the place and I'm not getting it done, I'll usually shout on Kate and I'll say, I need you to sit in the room. I don't need your help. I just need you to sit. And she usually just pops herself in the corner and sits. And occasionally I'll say, can you hand me this or that? But it's just having that person there that helps you get things done. It's really helpful. And I actually might go and search more into it because I just know that it's really helpful for a lot of people.
I'd love to also kind of talk about so we've talked about kind of burnout, but then there's also just like general, I don't know if the word general sadness is not what I want, but just kind of everyday things that do happen that do make you low. And that's different to burnout. Burnout hopefully isn't an everyday thing. That doesn't sound right. But how can someone who is themselves experiencing it differentiate between burnout and just being sad about something or low about something, or kind of more on that side, I guess, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think the fact that burnout lasts significantly longer and when you're in it all sort of it feels like your own autonomy has been taken away and it's really difficult to just get through the day compared to sort of daily struggles that some people would have. I think knowing that, this is going to sound cliche, but knowing that that thing that's making it really difficult to get through the day is going to end by the time you either get home or you get to your bed at night, just knowing that it's going to end always helps me if I'm having a bad day. So I'll just think, okay, I've only got like 3 more hours to deal with this. And actually, if it gets too much and I can't deal with it, stepping away and saying, I need 10 minutes, 5 minutes to just get myself together, go to a quiet space and just sort of think in your head, like, what's going wrong? How can I make it better? Because I know that, I think, some people might say, oh, I'm in burnout, but it's not really a burnout. It's more of a, things are just getting hard at the moment. It's just sort of remembering there's differences between burnout and just that everyday sort of struggle that neurodivergent autistic people do face, especially in places that don't fully understand autism or ADHD or any sort of neurodivergence. It's really difficult being around, not difficult as in I find people difficult, but more difficult in the way that expressing yourself sometimes quite scary because you don't want people to think, why can't she handle, daily things, or why is it so difficult for her to just be like the rest of the team, like if you're in a work situation. So yeah, it takes a lot of courage and stepping out of the situation. I do believe that people have that courage in them, and stepping out of the situation is taking control of feeling out of control. So think that's always a positive.
Yeah. And from a workplace point of view, what could someone in their workplace, a line manager or an office setting, I don't know, like could they do to help their employee who might be experiencing burnout, might be headed to burnout? How could they help them?
So I'm just trying to think. In my workplace, we have an empty office that's quite useful because we share offices with about 4 people. If I know I'm heading to burnout or I'm, maybe just sensory overloaded that day, I can always use the upstairs office. I've had permission from the managers to say, like, when things are getting a bit much, just go upstairs, because I think taking care of the employee and learning about neurodiversity is so important because it helps retain staff. Neurodiverse people, we have so much to give in that workplace and so much intelligence, so much passion, so much love for the job. We just are wired slightly different. So when we're in burnout or if we're having a meltdown, just having that understanding that it has nothing to do with our performance or how good we are at our job. We just have a differently wired brain and that's okay. That's just a different part of us. So just remembering like to support the individual and not see them through the eyes of their neurodiverse. How can I help them continue be amazing at their job? Sort of like that.
That's a really good kind of mindset of like not thinking about a line manager to their person, but actually like how can I help them to thrive with how they see the world, how they process the world, and really making sure that they're not thinking, how can they fit into my cookie cutter, but actually, how can I make their own cookie cutter, I guess.
Totally get what you mean. And so don't try and mold them into the team. Let them be their own mold and just juggle the team about. It's okay that we're all different and just keep supporting them.
What do you want the world to know about neurodivergent people?
That we are capable and we, although sometimes struggle with friendships, I definitely do struggle replying back to people. We are really good friends. We're really passionate friends. We'll always support, our friends and make sure they're okay, that we do belong in this world. And it's just a little bit more difficult for us with people who don't understand what neurodivergence is. If there was that little bit more understanding and a little bit more acceptance, then I think, it would be amazing, especially in different jobs and works, that talking about the cookie cutter thing, stop trying to mold neurodivergence and just let people who are neurodivergent be neurodivergent. They don't have to change themselves for anything. Just let them be themselves.
Yeah. Something I was talking with a friend about, and then you kind of mentioned as well, is like, there seems to be a lot of awareness happening around neurodiversity and neurodivergent and kind of all of that. But the understanding bit doesn't seem to be matching up with the awareness bit, if that makes sense. So people are becoming more aware of it, but they're not necessarily understanding it or translating that awareness into understanding. Is that what you're kind of finding as well? That there might be a lot of awareness, but not loads of understanding?
I think there's a lot of awareness of it. Like I do see quite a lot of awareness about it, but I think maybe, I don't want to say surface level awareness, but maybe awareness for certain types of neurodivergent people and not enough knowledge about neurodivergent people who maybe have carers or aren't able to be out there advocating for themselves. And like not on Instagram, saying all these different things. And I've seen myself, a few people on Instagram who are in the places that they live, level 2 or high level supports needs. Like I've spoke to this one girl for quite a long time, and people are really quite cruel to her on Instagram, and it doesn't match up with the autism awareness. We're trying to make everyone aware of all of what's going on. It kind of takes it away from that, because then, okay, well, we're making awareness for certain things and then we're quiet certain things as well. And that just, it doesn't feel right. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like we're kind of picking and choosing what we want to talk about, and the world is kind of going, oh, we don't want to talk about that, so let's not, like, let's shut them down. Yeah, that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that as well, of what we pick and choose and not always showing everything.
I think, like, when I was in London a few weeks ago and I taught Autism's Got Talent, the talent that was there was amazing, and it was autistic people that were all different parts of the spectrum, and it was amazing that everyone just came together and there was no judgment. And then when we kind of move online, the people who maybe struggled more to, verbalize what they're trying to say, or just maybe couldn't verbalize online, they're just, from what I've seen anyway, and really is, they're not pulled into the conversation, or they're kind of, I might be getting it completely wrong and seeing it wrong. I'm not seeing the right side of Instagram, but from what I've seen and kind of what I've observed, especially with one friend who is level 2 needs, and she's in Australia, and she's so amazing and lovely, and we get on super well, but there is a definite barrier and treatment differences. We all want the same thing, equality and neurodiversity, it's there. So we can't pick people out that we don't want in it. It just doesn't seem right.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Kelsey, and for talking about the Calm Crate and how that can help us be calm and self-regulate, but also about burnout and your experience of burnout. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's easy to get cynical about breathing exercises, affirmations, self-care, and the like, because they don't fix the circumstances we find ourselves in that are outside of our control. You're right, they're not a fix, but they can move the needle towards a calmer nervous system. During the month of January, we're going to try different ways to help us reset. I suggest having a go when you're able and when you feel calm to find what feels good to you, and then keep doing it. Today, we're going to talk about color breathing. It is a simple exercise that you can do anywhere, and it helps to encourage relaxation. 20 seconds of deep breathing can help reset the body. Start by finding a position you feel comfortable in. You can try laying down or sitting up. Let your hands rest wherever they're comfortable. Close your eyes and bring your attention to your breathing. Breathe in to a count of 4, pause for a moment, and breathe out to the count of 4. At this point, you may wish to pick a color for you to focus on. Let this color fill your mind, and breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, out, 2, 3, 4. Anytime there are any other thoughts, images, sounds, or sensations that come to mind, allow yourself to just notice them and gently bring your attention back to your breathing and your color. Try to focus on your breathing lower down in your belly as well. As you think of it, think of a balloon in your stomach. Notice how the balloon inflates as you breathe in and deflates as you breathe out. Notice the sensations in your abdomen as your belly rises as the balloon inflates and falls as the balloon deflates when you breathe out. Now visualize your color. It could be in the form of light or mist covering you. If it's difficult to visualize that color, it can help to imagine something that is that color. For example, green grass or blue sea or an orange sunset. See it in front of you, over you, all around you, surrounding you. As you slowly breathe, become aware of the breathing in your color, into your nose, your throat, your chest, and abdomen. Imagine now that color spreading out within you, into every part of your body, and notice the effects that it has. Notice the sensations in your body as this colored light or mist flows into and spreads throughout your body and mind. Notice how the color is affecting your body and your mind as you allow it to gently flow and infuse your body and mind. Anytime that your attention wanders, simply notice what it's wandering to and then gently bring your focus back to your color. Start to bring your attention back to here and now. Open your eyes and look around. Hey, did you know that we do a bi-weekly, meaning every other week newsletter? It has information about the podcast, some helpful resources, a point to ponder on, and so much more. Sign up using the link below in the show notes.